In this video, I'm going to show you how to crop pictures and how to put titles and labels on them, at least the way that works best for me. So I have pulled up a file that has pictures, so I'm going to open that up. Now, this is a picture of what I took through the microscope, and it's kind of small and there's a lot of dark space. So I'm going to crop out everything that doesn't apply, everything that isn't important for the data I'm collecting. So when I clicked on it, it automatically opened up in Windows Photo Viewer. If you have Windows Microsoft Office on your computer, that'll happen, or if you're using a computer here on campus. So I'm going to click the open button and I'm going to pick paint. Okay, now you'll notice this is really big. So you can either go through and scroll through and find what you're looking for, or I prefer to resize the image. And sometimes you have to do this a couple of times because Paint doesn't believe that you really want to do this. Okay, now it's a much more reasonable size to be dealing with. So I'm next to crop it. I'm going to hit select, but first I'm going to get this so that what I want to show is in the center of the screen. Yeah, that's a good spot. So I'm going to hit select, and I get my little X there, and I'm going to select what I want. Now suppose I accidentally got too much. You would think that you could just take this and slide it over, but notice how it squishes the picture. You don't want a squishy picture. You don't want it distorted. So I'm going to hit the undo, and I'm going to try again. So I'm going to, I don't want that much black, but I want it to be square. Okay. So I click on that, and then I hit crop. And there my picture is cropped. Now I can re-crop that, but this is pretty much what I want. So I'm going to save this. Actually, I'm going to hit save as because I have no idea where that went. So I'm going to add cropped to the title. Okay, so now I've saved it. So I can go back in. I'm going to close this. I'm going to go back in, and I see Marching Bacilli, Spring 15, cropped. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this into PowerPoint, because I find that PowerPoint is the easiest way to add titles and labels and then group them together so it's one image, so that when you put it in a Word document, the labels and stuff don't keep moving. So I already have PowerPoint loaded up. Now I am just using PowerPoint as a program to help me modify my picture, so I really don't want the title and the subtitle. So I'm going to click on Layout and go to a blank slide. So now I'm going to insert a picture, so I click on Insert, then Pictures. I gotta click on it twice. Then I go to my travel drive, and here we go, Marching Bacilli cropped. So I click on that. Okay, now that's a little big, so I'm going to grab the corner of it so that I have that diagonal, so that I can change the shape of it without changing the dimensions. So if I clicked on it down here, see how I stretch that out and it looks funny. In fact, I can't even get it back to the way that it was, so I have to hit undo. Now I do want to make it a little bigger, so I'm going to grab the corner again. There we go. I'm going to click on Insert, and I'm going to click on Text Box, and then I'm going to come down here, and where I get this little upside down cross is where the text box is going to be, and I'm going to type in my title. So Marching Bacilli is the description that I used, because see how they are going all in a little line? But that's not really what they are. So I'm going to put gram positive bacilli, which are rod-shaped bacteria, from soil isolate. And then I'm going to put the date, which was 1/13 of 2016. And then I'm going to put incubated on TSA. And that's my title. It tells me everything that I, as a reader, need to know about this picture. Now, I know what a bacillus is. I know what gram-positive is. But as an instructor, I don't know that you know. So I want you to label everything. You come back up here to insert. You do another text box. Come down here. And I'm going to put gram-positive purple stain. And I'm going to put this over where it's not interfering with the picture. And now I can either go up here and insert another one, or I can copy this. If I right click on this, I can get copy as an option. And then I left click and I hit paste. I'm going to pull that down and I'm going to put bacilli rod-shaped cells. Now, there's red over here, so I need to explain that. So I'm going to copy this again. And I'm going to put red stain caught on slide, probably a capsule or slime layer. Now, at this point, we're going to assume that I don't know that for sure. As it turns out, we did some other staining, and it turns out that it was a slime layer. So I'm going to put this over here. Now I'm going to have to change the... Tell you what, I'm going to move this over so that I have more room for that label. I'm going to move this over. We want to get everything all nice and lined up. So I'm going to move this over. And, you know what, I think I don't like this label anymore. Gram-positive purple stain what? So I'm going to go in and I'm going to change that to purple stained cell. So you can continue to modify this. Now I've got my title, I've got my labels, now I need arrows. So I'm going to go back over to insert, I'm going to pick shapes, and I'm going to get arrows. So I'm going to do an arrow from here to the red. Now that blue doesn't show up very well, so I'm going to go up here and I'm going to change it to black. Much better. Now I'm going to move this down because I changed my mind as to where I wanted my arrows to go. And let's move this over. And I'm going to shorten my arrow, so I click on it and I click on that end box. And I got the text box by accident. So sometimes you have to mess with it. Yeah. Sometimes it's just easier to move stuff out of the way. So I click on that, I grab the end, and it's not cooperating. That's a better spot anyway. There we go. And now I'm going to take the arrow and I'm going to copy it. I'm going to paste and I'm going to bring this over here. Now I've got to switch my arrow around. So I go over to Format and I rotate horizontally. Now it's pointing the other direction. So I go from my label to a purple cell. Now, right now it's not on a purple cell, so I grab the front part of this and I grab the picture by accident. And this isn't cooperating with me, so I'm going to go into Insert Shapes, get another one. So I'm going to start this and I'm going to go to a purple cell. Okay, and that's close enough. Well, a little better if we move it down a little bit. And then I'm going to insert another arrow and I'm going to go to a rod-shaped cell. Now you won't have to do all of this specific labeling throughout the semester. It just depends upon what we're learning at this point. So, for example, if we're learning about gram staining, you got to label them so that I know that you know that these purple cells are gram positive. And until I'm convinced that you know what a bacillus is versus a cocci versus coccus cells, I want you to label them. Let's see, this label is a little sticking out a little far, so I'm going to smush it down. Now, I want to group all of this. Now, I can either click on each of the items individually while holding the Shift key down, or I can come up here and select everything. Then I right-click, and group is an option. So I'm going to group this. See, it is all now one group. When I move it around, everything moves. Okay, so now I'm going to save this. I'm going to save as picture. The first option that comes up is this PNG. I don't know what that is, but I do know what a JPEG is. So I'm going to save it as a JPEG, and I'm going to name this as week 2 gram stain of soil isolate. Okay. You can name it anything you want as long so that you can find it. I'm going to save this to my travel drive, and I'm going to save it so that I can find it. Now I'm going to bring up Word. Okay, so I've got the first part of my data sheet, what we did, and it's going slowly. I'm going to insert my picture. So I'm going to come up here to insert, and I'm going to click on picture, and now I'm going to go down to my jump drive where I have my picture, week 1 gram stain of, and I'm going to insert this, and now I can move it wherever I want. I can move it over, I can move it up, I can make it bigger, and if I do the little diagonal in the corners, I can make it proportionally correct. I can make it smaller if it turned out too big, but make sure that you don't squish it. You don't want to distort your pictures. So I'm going to do that. So that is how you modify pictures for reports.